Hello, hello, beautiful creators. My name is Allison Holly, and I am a channel and an awakening guide. And I wanted to go live today to offer you an energy update, some things that I've been witnessing, some patterns and guidance around those patterns that I have been seeing. So, if you are tuning in live, please feel free to say hi in the chat. I'll see if I can get to your questions, but for now, I just wanted to share this really powerful energy update. Hi, Steph. All right. So, what I am witnessing, by the way, I'm very tired today. I'm back in the US and I'm still getting used to being on this time zone. So I've been up since 4 this morning just because my body said, it's time to wake up. But anyway, I did want to jump on here and share this message with you. So, we are still in solstice time. And what I've noticed that this particular gateway, this particular energy update, it's really been happening, I would say, for most of the month of December. And, as you know, I do a lot of one on one channeling sessions and coaching and things like that. So not only do I get to sort of check in on the pulse of the collective through these live streams, but also in one on one sessions. And something that I have been noticing so much of is the masculines. So, this is the masculine within us, but also in particular, I do want to highlight that this is very much happening for men right now, where there is a confusion around how to go deep into surrender. And there's a real call for masculine energy to enter the void and for feminine energy to actually step forward into the forefront. What this is looking like is a little bit different for every person, I'll say. Sorry, I've had something in my eye since before I started this, and we'll see if I can actually see. Um, I'm sure that's symbolic of something. So, what this has been looking like is men deeply desiring to reach that next level. And in some cases, really reaching a stalling point where there's not really an alternative. And all of us are feeling this right now, where we are noticing there's these big fork in the road moments, as I've been talking about in the last few live streams. And so the tension between what we're being called toward and the place that we may be normally wanting to go, right? Our patterns and the direction that we normally go, there's a lot of tension there. So if you're feeling the call toward, living a life full of purpose, and yet it feels like where you want to go is sort of these old patterns and these old programs, that's really what I'm talking about right now. And for men and masculine dominant beings, this is coming in very strong. There's a feeling of, I want to create, I want to play, I want to reach my next level, and yet I can't seem to understand it and access it. What we're really being called into is the void. It's the void. It's deep surrender into the nothingness, essentially, which is really the everything. It is the all that is. The reason that this is hitting masculines, either men or very dominantly masculine beings, the reason that this is such a difficult threshold is part of the way that the masculine purpose presents in the world is to create safety, boundaries, and structure. When we talk about mental programs, that's a lot of masculine energy. And as we've been talking about for a very long time, we are reaching a new era where, we could say that it's really the rise of the feminine. And this is not to say that it is women centered. It is we're bringing the feminine up so that there's a holistic balance, right? This isn't now women take over. This is now we embody that feminine structure of holisticness, where the masculine knows where to offer stability and structure, but the structure doesn't override the flow of all that is. So in the past, we've had structure dominant life, which is we know the answers before we even ask the questions because having a question is not really safe. In the masculine dominant structure, we are doing it backwards. We are never having any spontaneity. We are not allowing the pure creation of things because we need to have focus and programs and things that are set up. And like I said, what we're doing is we're doing that backwards in the masculine dominant way. So now, as we're really, really deeply flipping into that feminine way to someone who is very valiantly with divinity coming in with a lot of structure, this idea of surrender actually feels like an abandonment of post, right? It sort of feels like who's going to keep everyone safe? And this is why masculine dominant beings right now are having a bit of a difficulty crossing this threshold into deep surrender, into deeply going into the void. Now, the void is the source of all creation. It's also nothing. And when we start to first enter the void consciously, we we kind of don't know what to make of it from our ego mind, because the void is sometimes at first glance it looks like chaos. Sometimes it looks like nothing, and if there's nothing, then it questions our very existence. We feel unmoored, untethered. We feel unprepared. And like I said, the masculine is all about the structure. So, this is also the masculine within each of us. This is the way that we want to solidify our life, but also this can, if it's too dominant or if we're putting it first before we allow the presence and the feminine flow, if we put the masculine first, then we get control, then we get a lot of overriding and not listening and things like that. So let me know if this is all landing, because I really want to stress that this is not male and female oriented, and this is also not putting a damper on any men that feel very called to be masculine or women or people in general who have that divine masculine calling. I'm not telling you to put that away. What I'm telling you is that there is a threshold, there is an activation point right now, and there's a way through where you can still be deeply in that divine masculine, but for a moment, allow yourself to experience the unknown, to really pour through, to enter the void. I was in a channeling session a few days ago, and what came through, without giving too much detail, was, it was a man who was saying, I reach this place of light in my meditations. And what else is there, right? What's next? I'm feeling stalled here. And I said, what's next is the void. It's the dark. It's the nothing. There is a threshold beyond the light, and it is the dark. And this is something that I talk about in actually the foreword, the first chapter, the foreword of Ecstatic Playground, which is the light is actually projected from the void. And we've got it backwards. We've got, the light being manifest form, the light being what we can see, what we can delineate. there's something that creates that. And when we pay too much attention to the light, we actually we get lost in the physical experience, and we stall ourselves. We feel trapped in that. So, how can we move through this gateway? Let's talk about surrender. I like what I've heard Void referred to as like the womb. It is absolutely the womb. It's the cosmic womb. It is where all springs from. So let's talk about surrender because um, in order to enter the void, surrender is the way. And again, this is sort of a paradox for people who live in the masculine, for very masculine centered beings. Entering the void through surrender, it is in conflict with the linear way of being. It is in conflict with this feeling of needing to know in order to create safety and structure. So we have to enter it through surrender, but surrender can be very confusing in general for humans. So, the way that I like to talk about surrender, a lot of people ask, how do I surrender? And that is an ironic question because, in order to surrender, what we're really surrendering is the mental knowing and the we're knowing it before it happens, which that does come from being in a place of presence. But the mental knowing, the egoic knowing, is exactly what we're surrendering. It is exactly what we are allowing to drop so that we can move forward with greater presence. And I'm going to say this is not even just flow, there's something beyond the flow. Even flow is it's almost going swinging a little too much into the feminine with this, because to say that I'm flowing is in a sense again grabbing onto control. It's saying, oh, I know what I'm doing, I'm flowing with this, in a sense, right? So I don't want to get too into the weeds with that, but what we're really doing with surrender is we are laying down in front of our eternal nature. We're dropping our mental need to know. And we are allowing, we are simply existing. And in that simply existing, we start to sense. It takes a minute. It takes a minute, which feminine beings have actually been doing this for a while. And this is why the masculine beings right now are starting to notice this pressure. It's now really, really open for the masculines. So I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But sometimes it takes a minute to really actually be able to drop into this surrender, to sense what's going on under the surface. But I'll tell you, right, because it's a little bit scary to drop into surrender. So I'll explain as much as I can, but this is really an action. This is a doing. This is a sense of being. We drop into that surrender. And when we let go of the need to know and the idea that we have to know in order to be safe, we drop into the present moment and we simply allow all things to be. What we're going to notice is this beautiful, powerful undercurrent that has been carrying everything, regardless of whatever we're trying to do. And it is the force of all that animates all things. It's the current that runs through all things that doesn't demand anything of us. This is the true nature of ecstasy. You know, you may have played with or heard of ecstatic dance. Let me tell you what ecstatic dance really is. It's being in such deep presence that the current that moves through all of life moves through your body and animates your body. This is also what light language is. This is what channeling is. It is allowing the current of all that is to animate you, to move through you without stopping it out of concern that we need to somehow control it from our mental ideas, from our current ability or perception to know. Okay. So Asking the question, how do I surrender, is asking for a mental idea of what you're doing in order to get out of the mental idea. Okay. And that's why describing surrender, I can describe it on and on and on, but it is not something that can be experienced through my description of it. It's something that we experience through our admission, through our allowance of this process. Okay, so going deeper, how do we surrender? How do we surrender even that question? It's dropping the idea that our worthiness is based on what we do. And it's dropping the expectation of ourselves that we have answers, period. Because we don't need answers in order to exist. Um, think of a baby. Think of a baby being born from the womb. The baby has an innate flow that is moving through it. The baby doesn't come out talking and doing math and budgeting and figuring out how all of this is going to work. There is an innate flow that comes through, and we actually can trust that flow. We actually can trust that flow. Okay, I want to, as aspects of one, we consecrate free will into the service of one. Surrender denotes separation with inequality. Interesting. Surrender denotes separation with inequality. I'll let you feel that. That is not my experience of surrender, if I'm reading it right. But I surrender. If that's your experience with it, then beautiful. Maybe this isn't for you. This lands for me. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Okay, I'm going to go into the next part of this energy update, which is what the feminine aspect is doing. And I will say that this is really heavily represented in females and beings who are here to embody that feminine aspect. So the way that this is looking is that right now, masculine projecting beings are going into that deep surrender and learning to enter the void. And I'll tell you that this is so that you can be of service. I promise you that you won't be inactive forever. The inactivity or the stillness within, it's not even necessarily inactivity, but the stillness within is going to build a new way of moving through life and a new way of creating action. And so what the feminine centered beings are doing right now, if you have already learned how to surrender into the void and be animated by your divine life force, is you are actually taking the lead. There is very much a calling. So these are messages that maybe you've been hearing. I know that I've been hearing these messages since the beginning of my awakening, that now what is presenting is the feminine, and that the feminine are coming in as leaders, and feminine energy within us is leading, right? So this is not man and woman. This is these energies within us and how they help us navigate, what they represent. So feminine centered beings are now being called to come forward and to really be in that deep activation of your purpose, allowing yourself to be seen from what you've already learned about yourself. Yesterday, I was channeling with a friend for myself, and I had another deep Kuan Yin activation. It was very, very powerful. And she showed me a jewel within myself and really guided me on how to not share this jewel with everyone. and I believe that this is true of the feminines who are coming forward now, who are really meant to be front and center, activated in your purpose and actually taking action. Because if you have learned that deep surrender and you've come into the co-creation with the void and knowing how to be conscious in projecting your light into the world, then really, really now is the time where you can confidently know that you're walking in that divine surrender. You are walking in that co creative flow, and you really are meant to be out and in front of people in your strength. I know for me, this year has been so many themes, but this year has really been the year that I have anchored into my eternal safety. I will say that. It is unconditional safety within me. And many feminines right now are experiencing this. And again, so this may present in masculine beings if you have already practiced deeply entering the void. And even if you have, there's a really powerful threshold right now for you masculine centered beings. And I just want to share with you that the feminine is holding the womb now. It's holding the space. We are supporting you in this deep surrender. In fact, all of creation, not just embodied feminines, but all of creation is always supporting us in the surrender, because that's the truth of what surrender is. It is allowing ourselves to rest in the void so that we can learn what creation really is. Creation is in the past been control, and it's been overlaying these structures of control onto everything. So we don't even have time to let spontaneity create. Instead, there's been, let's put this structure on top of things so that we can't ask any questions, so that we can feel safe. And this is why we're getting into the safety of our eternal nature. And when that comes forward, when that comes through, then that is the web that holds all of it in purity. It is what holds, this newborn creation of a baby in nourishment. All is taken care of in this eternal void. And it is surrendering into our eternal nature. It's my human self, my ego self, for this moment is going to drop the need to know what to do so that I can discover that I am safe eternally, that I am an eternal being. So it's really deeply dropping into that. So let me read some of these comments. But isn't leading itself a masculine quality? So beautiful question. And I hope that what I just expressed really shares with you what the feminine leading really looks like. The feminine leading is coming from a place of, I am co-creating with the void, and I am moving in, excuse me, I am moving in that divine flow, and all action springs from that pure creation. So leading, yes, it is a masculine quality, and we all have both. And what we're doing is we've internally balanced the leading. I wonder if I have any water. I do. Excuse me. We have internally balanced, and we've dropped into that place of eternal safety, so that when we move forward and allow ourselves to present and essentially lead, it is actually still coming from surrender. All movements are actually coming from surrender. So the leading in the way that we've known it in the past is having the answers before we even ask the questions. And I'll say that there are no questions and no answers from this place of the void, but it is overlaying the structure before we've been present in the moment to know what's being called for in the moment. So there is a divine orchestration that the feminines, if practiced, have learned to tap into. And this is why we're coming forward at this time. It's not that we no longer need leaders or that we no longer need structure. It's that this is coming from a deeply eternal place. This is more that fifth dimensional consciousness that's now moving forward and saying, all right, I'm here to build. I'm the new earth architect, and I'm here to build heaven on earth. And what I'm doing as I'm building is I'm witnessing. I'm witnessing what is ready to be created, and I'm moving with that. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Hi from Sydney. Oh, hi, Paris. It must be pretty late for you. All is one. Yes. You're not the first to share that with me. I love that so much. You will get to see your loved ones that already died if you were willing to wake up and accept that you were. Oh, okay. I don't. Here's let's just briefly talk about enemy consciousness. When we are truly in fifth dimensional consciousness, um, now of course we're multidimensional beings, so we exist here on Earth, and then we can also embody this fifth dimensional consciousness without denying the human experience. But I will say that there aren't enemies. There is an understanding beyond this idea of enemy consciousness. We actually see everyone as part of this divine game, this divine orchestration that has all been serving us. Okay. But I will say, yes, of course, we'll be able to connect with our loved ones. The veil thins as we shift our consciousness, as we raise our consciousness. Hello from Santa Fe. Hi, Zahira. I love, by the way, how are you doing? I love when you share with me in the chat where you're checking in from. The last thing that I want to share in this live stream is the coming in, the promise of abundance. Okay. This is something that has been very, very loud for the past. Hi, Courtney. Aw. This is something that has been a message that's been coming through very, very strongly for the past couple months. We're really, 2026, y'all. Such a potent year. I am excited. I'm sure everybody's got, their own mixed emotions. Hi from Norway. Hello, hello. I'm so glad you love this topic. Thank you for being here. The promise of abundance is coming through very, very strongly because absolute abundance is the very nature of the fifth dimensional structure. So when we talk about stepping into new earth, when we talk about stepping into the Garden of Eden, which I'm currently writing this book, y'all. Ooh, so excited. The Return to the Garden of Eden. It is one of the core aspects of these frequencies is endless abundance. And the more that we can surrender into that while allowing ourselves to move forward again from the void, move forward from the void. This is the promise. It is the promise. There can be no other way. It's so strongly coming through. In fact, it came through. I was in a coaching call, and I'll just share that. I mean, I truly get to work with some of the most, as some of you in the chat here have had sessions with me, I get to work with some of the most powerful, beautiful, incredible beings, right? It's such a gift. It's so cool. But in a coaching session, I went into a full visionary state. I was sobbing. I was sobbing, and I'm so grateful, that I was able to go into this space. And I saw the pantheon of the gods from different planets. And I was told so clearly, it was as if like crystalline glass, dropping a pin in it. It was so, so, so clear. You will be provided for. There is endless abundance as you step into these realms. And that message has come through time and time again. And so I want to share with you that this deep surrender is what leads us here. this deep surrender, and I know that it's counterintuitive, or it's counter ego because it's very intuitive, but we have been steered into so much structure that surrendering into the void feels like we're going to lose everything. And sometimes we do. Sometimes we do because we clear the structures that cannot hold in the higher frequencies that we enter into. So sometimes we lose everything. But what is rebuilt is, excuse me, what is being rebuilt, what comes up from that place of the void, it is a higher structure of light. And many people right now are being called into spiritual work, divine purpose work. And this is looking like maybe you've had a very structured job and now you're being asked to, now you're feeling this calling. I want to hold sessions with people. I want to share the light, whatever your calling is. And this is coming through very strong. Not everyone is going to be doing jobs that are inherently, what we would call spiritual work, but many people are being called into that. And that I know firsthand, that can feel like such a scary, uncomfortable surrender. You guys, I've been doing this since my awakening for, what is that, 13, almost 14 years now. And it has not always been easy. It's not always been stable. It's been a lot. And so I'm telling you from firsthand experience that this is a really powerful gateway. And I know that it takes a lot of trust to move into that surrender, but it is what we are being called toward. So I wanted to offer that. I want to share with you that I have a course that I will be offering that starts in the middle of January. I don't know the exact date yet, but I'll have it. The link is in the description box. This is called The Threshold. This course is going to be 8 weeks long, and it is meant to help you activate into your purpose. So we're going to be going deep into guided purpose work, how to know what your purpose is, how to know what you're being called toward, and how to move forward with that deep surrender at the same time as having clarity and confidence. So this is going to be, we're going to be meeting once a week for 8 weeks. It's a private container. So once you join, you'll be able to be in this private group. So you'll have support not only when we meet, but throughout the week. I'll be offering guidance throughout the week if you post in the group. And we're going to be going into how to know your purpose and then how to follow through on that. Included in this course is 2 of my other courses. So you're going to get access to my Limitless course, which is my manifestation course, and also my channeling course. It's called Learn to Channel. Both of those, we're going to be diving deep into the information in both of those courses, because I feel very much that in order to really move forward in your purpose into new earth, creating new earth, is you need to be activated into your own intuition, however it speaks through you. You may not be a channel as I am in the specific way that I am, but there is an activation into those higher knowings that is meant to come through you. And so we're going to go through the Learn to Channel course together, activate your own way of receiving. And then we're also going to be going into the Limitless course so that you can really, really know how to consciously create. It's not just about manifesting. This is actually how everything works, how all of creation works, and how you can move yourself through creation and learn how to be a conscious creator. So if you would like to join the Threshold, the link is in the description box. I would love to have you in there. Again, I don't have the start date up yet, but I'll be adding that. It's going to be mid-January. I'm actually going to be going into an ayahuasca ceremony, and I'm not sure what the dates are yet. So I'm waiting to hear back on that. But it is available for you to join. And I would love to have you in there. Okay, I'm going to read through these questions. Sixth surgery of the year. Wow. Wow. I'm so glad that you're doing okay, Zahira. Advice for new earth leaders. It's been confirmed to me that I'll be well known. Yep. For being authentically multifaceted, shining my light to help others shine theirs. First, I rejected it. Now I accept it. I totally get this. Oh, hi, Mike. Yes. Yeah, at first you reject it and then you accept it. I deeply understand this. I was given a vision very early on in my awakening about what it would look like for me. And I ran scared and I hid for probably 3 years. I was scared of being seen. So check in with yourself. Are you afraid of being seen? The other thing I would say is if you are feeling called to be a new earth leader, know that every step of the way, it is a process that unfolds. It's not going to be, it happens and you're not prepared for it. It will be an unfolding that you will be given the insight for each step of the way. And the last thing that I'll say with that is that there's a huge transformation that happens from the calling to the being, to the embodiment of it. That transformation involves moving beyond the ego. Now, the ego is not just, look at me, I'm so fancy. The ego is also the part of us that wants to hide, that wants to reject that thinks, who am I to be a leader? Who am I to be this light for the world? That comes from the ego. The fear of our divine purpose comes from the ego. And so as we step more into this and we receive the codes of our divine calling, what happens is we learn a lot about the ego and we learn to be present and show up for our calling without needing to fear that somehow it's got to come from this very human part of ourselves. And the ego is just trying to maintain status quo and protect us, right? And so the ego is either going to say, well, of course, I'm more special than everyone else, or the ego is going to say, oh my God, I've got to hide. Who am I to hold this light? Who am I to be this light? So both of those happen. And then my personal experience with this is that we witness that, for me, for example, before I jumped on this live stream, I wanted to take a nap. If you missed the beginning of this live stream, I was like, oh, I woke up at 4 a.m. because I'm just coming back to the States after traveling on the other side of the world. And my sleep schedule's all off. I was like, my energy's off. What am I doing? I feel like I look tired. I couldn't figure out what to do with my hair, right? All of these things, ego things. But that voice came from within and said, just show up. It's not even about me. It's not even about me. It's just, and what a joy. And what a joy it is to show up anyway, So, may that bless you. I get it from my perspective. I do get it. All right. Most days I feel like I'm going to lose my mind. That's going around. Let yourself lose your mind. Something else will carry you. The truth requires feelings. Go crazy, but then return to 0 point. 1000%. I have done a lot of surrendering to focus on my physical health, and it is starting to pay off. I love that so much. Isn't it powerful that everything that we desire is actually on the other side of surrendering? I feel like that's a famous quote. I feel like somebody else has famously said that, but that is definitely the truth. It's really, really powerful. Our frequencies right now does the job. We are living portals. We activate people around us. This is leadership in finest forms. Y'all are amazing. That is so true. The ego can also be the one who wants to help and be good. Yes, yes, of course. The ego can get on board with this divine purpose. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not trying to separate the ego ever because I love being human. I love doing the things that Allison human loves to do. I love it. It's fun. Oh, thanks, Courtney. I was like, oh, get it together, girl. I'm so tired. Um, you live your life and go beyond ego, beyond the box. Yes, yes, yes. Blue skies. Yeah, good job. All right, my loves. So I hope you are all having a beautiful post solstice if you celebrate Christmas post Christmas. And yes, we are all children of the source. I love it. I love it. And if you would like to join me in the threshold, we should say crossing the threshold, I would love to have you in there. The link is in the description box. If you're watching this after the live stream, please feel free to share, like, subscribe, and leave a comment with what really resonated with you. And yeah, I am so grateful to be here with all of you and happy to be shining with all of you. All right, loves, take care. I am going to go lay down and eat now. Fall asleep while eating. All right, loves, I'll talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.